in your Silverado headquarters, and we stream news this morning to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Beacon Insurance agent in Clinton. Data days will soon be a part of the regular evaluation of students and their academic progress in Clinton schools. On the WHOW Morning Show Wednesday, Clinton Schools Superintendent Kurt Nettles followed up the Tuesday night Clinton Board of Education meeting, telling regional radio data days will be an evaluation of students and any needs for intervention services.
Data days are what we call when we get certain teams of teachers together to look at the data from the assessments that we put our students through to kind of benchmark and see what progress they're making. Reading, math, let's talk about reading, for example, because we need to, you can't wait till you get the end of a quarter and say, well, this kid's getting a C or a D so I want folks to understand that we assess our kids and we find out where they are at as far as their reading level. We have data on these things. We benchmark them. We put them through some assessments. We benchmark them. And then we can take that information and look at it. And then we know, does this child need interventions or not? Do they need more help than they're currently getting in the classroom with reading, for example?
According to Nettles, the district does its own benchmarking to assess where students are at and track their progress. He explains data days will be a time for evaluation of students and where they're at in their academic progress.
So there's benchmarking in the fall early.
Okay.
And then we'll do some in the winter and the spring.
Mm-hmm.
Then in between those time periods, especially with some kids who we decide need some intervention, we'll do more assessing of them as well. So she's going to work with the different schools on those data days, and they're going to get the information together. They're going to look at it. They're going to look at the students in particular, and they're going to make decisions. Is this a tier 1 student who is basically doing well in comparison to peers and where they're expected to be, and you can kind of move right along with them as normal? Or is this child in a tier 2, which means they're going to need some extra intervention time? They're going to get everything in the classroom, but then there's going to be some extra time for interventions to help them. And at some point, you take that child in tier 2 and you assess them again, see what progress is being made. Do we need to just keep them in that same intervention or more intensify it or pull back because, maybe they just need the classroom at that point? So
Nettles explains intervention has changed over the years as educators learned kids need to be with classmates and participate in the daily lessons with their peers.
It is supposed to be done a lot in addition to.
Okay.
So one of the things that we found out over the years in education is it used to be back in the day, you would pull kids out and keep them out and do this and that, but they need to be in with their peers as much as possible, and they need that mentoring from the other students as well. They need to listen to other students read. They need to read along as well. So they're going to get the instruction in the classroom. But then there'll be intervention time built into teachers' schedules. And then that's when those students might be in a small group or go to a different room or something of that nature to get that more intense intervention. So
data days will simply happen during the school days. Director of Teaching and Learning, Kara Jensen, will meet with staff in each school periodically to go over the data they have on students. Data days were introduced to the Board of Education at the Tuesday night's school board meeting. October serves as Farm to School Month for the St. Louis District Dairy Council as they push for more acknowledgement and education to the farming and ag communities that provide food and dairy products. Kelsey Bentledge, a registered dietitian and nutrition educator for the St. Louis District Dairy Council, says research has shown only 2% of the U.S. population is connected to a farm in any way, making the farm-to-table idea more difficult to understand. That's why the St. Louis District Dairy Council is making it their mission in the month of October to spread the word about dairy farmers and agriculture in general to the youngsters in the classroom.
Really about striving to offer healthy local foods and educational opportunities to students, which of course, we are interested in as a St. Louis Dairy Council. One of my favorite parts of my job as being a nutrition educator, growing up on a farm and now working at the Dairy Council and being a dietitian is just connecting kids to their food, educating them about where their food comes from and why it's good for them. So it really gives those students an awesome opportunity to learn where their food comes from, why food is good for their bodies, and even sometimes how to grow their own food. So National Farm to School Network launched this back in 2007 to bring life to the vision of farm to school programs being a staple in schools across local areas as well as state and regional and national settings as well. So over the last 20 years, schools have really worked to create these farm to school programs, and us at the Dairy Council have created our own farm to school programs as well to try to help schools out in this venture of connecting those kiddos to their food.
Bentledge calls dairy products the original local food because the milk being consumed by students has gone from cow to carton in only 48 hours. The St. Louis District Dairy Council has started the Moo to You program, which allows students to visit their website, stldairycouncil.org, and find their nearest dairy farm.
There's lots of ways that dairy is involved in Farm to School Month. Like I said, dairy is we like to call it the original local food. A lot of times, especially in this area, within 100 miles of a student's school, there will be a dairy farm, and it takes just 48 hours for milk to go from cow to carton. So from the milk to come from the cow to get to the factory to be pasteurized and put into the carton, and make it to the store or make it to the school lunch, it takes just 48 hours. So it has to be local, and it is an extremely fresh product as well. I actually have a lot of students, we work with schools a lot at the Dairy Council, know that statistic because it is on their little school cartons that they get at school. It says 48 hours from cow to carton. So it's great that kids are getting to learn that from just reading their little milk cartons at their school lunch.
To bring the full experience of farming to schools, the mobile dairy classroom will hit the road, bringing a live cow in front of the eyes of students to show them the actual process of prepping dairy products.
That's another way that we've been celebrating Farm to School Month is with the mobile dairy classroom. It is on the move with extra O's because we're the Dairy Council.
Of course.
But it is literally bringing a dairy farm to the school, essentially, where it's a trailer with a cow and they are pulling up to schools and milking the cow in front of students. So we've been talking this whole segment about connecting kids to their food. There's no better way than actually showing them how it's done. So that is, we're really fortunate to have sponsors that help make that possible with the mobile dairy classroom, and we are so excited to offer that, especially during Farm to School Month. So we are farm to schooling by literally bringing the farm to the school this month.
For information on Farm to School Month or the St. Louis District Dairy Council, visit their website, stldairycouncil.org, and look for their social media pages on Facebook and Instagram. Dan Stevens with Learn to Hunt Illinois says the fall shotgun turkey season will open this weekend. The archery turkey season opened October 1, and this weekend begins the shotgun season with several other hunting opportunities still going on.
With the fall 2023-2024 Illinois hunting season now underway, there's ample opportunities to spend time afield in the great outdoors this fall. First up is the fall turkey season. The fall shotgun turkey season runs October 21st through October 29th in select counties. The fall archery turkey season began October 1st and continues through January 14th, 2024. The first lottery for the spring turkey hunting season for Illinois residents is now open and will close December 1st. So make sure to get your applications in now at the following website, exploremoreil.com.
Stevens reminds the archery deer season hits pause while the firearm season takes place, but we're still a month away from that deer firearm season.
Moving along to deer hunting, deer season is currently underway with the archery deer season, which opened on October 1st, 2023, and runs through January 14th, 2024. Archery season closures do occur during deer firearm seasons in counties that have an open firearm season. The youth firearm deer season just concluded and was October 7th through October 9th. The first firearm deer season runs November 17th through November 19th, and the second firearm season runs November 30th through December 3rd. The deer muzzleloader season is December 8th through December 10th, and the special CWD season is open in select counties and runs December 28th through December 31st, and again January 12th through January 14th in those select counties. The late winter antlerless season runs December 28th through December 31st and January 12th through January 14th in select counties. Counties that are open during this late winter antlerless season will be posted on the Illinois DNR's website in October.
DNR monitors the fall harvest and the spring planting progress. Stevens indicates it looks like the fall harvest should not impact the rut and thus the firearm season in late November.
Spring planting of agricultural crops was ahead of the 5-year average, and according to the most recent crop progress report released by the U.S. Department of Agriculture on October 8th, corn and soybean harvest progress is well above last year's progress over the same dates and slightly ahead of the 5-year average. This suggests that most corn and soybeans will be harvested before the rut and will not limit firearm harvest.
The waterfowl season is looking to be strong this year, but duck populations seem to be declining despite the overall health of the population.
The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service recently released its report on 2023 waterfowl population status based on surveys conducted in May and early June. Total populations were estimated at 32.3 million breeding ducks in the traditional survey area, which represents a 7% decline from 2022 and is 9% below the long-term average since 1955. Mallards and American widgeons populations declined. However, pintails proved a noteworthy bright spot, showing a 24% increase over the record-setting low from last year. The report states that the populations of most species remain healthy and near the long-term averages, which should produce a respectable flight for waterfowl hunters and waterfowl enthusiasts to enjoy this fall and winter.
Stevens reminds to always be aware of local hunting and fishing regulations wherever you may be, and to always get permission from private property owners before you head out for the fall hunting seasons. DNR.illinois.gov is the website for all state of Illinois hunting, fishing, and outdoor regulations. Visit the Illinois 2324 Digest on hunting and fishing at dnr.illinois.gov. News time is 23 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Thursday. Plenty more to get to coming your way on the WHOW Morning Show.
Looking for Chevrolet inventory? This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. We have the all-new Chevrolet Trax, Blazer, and Trailblazers coming. Plus, several Chevrolet Equinoxes and Traverses are here. This month, take advantage of extra $1,000 trade-in assistance on your trade. There's always a need for quality trades here at Baum's. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
News time again, 23 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Thursday. I'm Seth Lawrence with you folks today for this expanded local newscast. Nearly half of all Illinois counties have now adopted a pro-ag resolution. It's part of the Allies in Agriculture program, says Illinois Farm Bureau Associate Director of Local Government and Political Engagement, Ryan Whitehouse.
In the last week, we hit our 50th county in the state that passed this pro-ag resolution and designated them as an ally in agriculture. So 50 units of county government across our state have recognized the importance of agriculture and our farmer members and said, yeah, we value in our county and we're going to do everything we possibly can to make sure that you're a success in our county. So almost halfway done. There's 102 counties, but I'm saying we're halfway done to getting this done throughout the state of Illinois.
Johnson County was the 50th county to adopt the pro-ag resolution. Some heavy rain has hit parts of Illinois in the last week. DTN ag meteorologist John Baranek was asked if any of that will have a significant impact on the low Mississippi water levels.
The rainfall that we saw was, really widespread last week. We had areas from basically Wyoming to Pennsylvania that was widespread over an inch, and there were lots of pockets in there of 2 to 4 and even some more 4 to 6 in there. So all those will go into the rivers at some point, but the soils have been so dry recently that a lot of it's just going to build soil moisture. So it's going to take a lot longer for that to actually, work into the main river systems and move down the Mississippi. One area that maybe doesn't get enough attention is that the Ohio River actually provides half of the water to the lower Mississippi River. So that's been an area where we've seen, a lot of dryness concerns and drought building over the recent last several weeks. So we're going to need some more rainfall, specifically into that basin. A lot of the rainfall that was heavy last weekend went north of that and kind of drained into the Great Lakes instead of draining southward into the Ohio. So that's not going to be too much of help. So we're going to need a lot more rain coming up. I know we keep hitting records, it seems like, every few days of low water levels there, kind of near the Memphis area. And the rain's helpful. It'll provide some benefit to the Mississippi, but we're going to need a lot more. And like I said, we're going to need a lot more in that Ohio Valley.
Bernick says there is some heavy rain potential for Illinois in the next week. What are some of the pieces of information used by USDA to create their October production forecasts for fall harvest crops like corn, soybeans, and cotton? Rod Bain gives us that answer.
Agricultural Statistics Service explains, as harvest is in some cases completed, data is in part gathered from
another reported survey, our Ag Yield Survey, as we call it. We surveyed early September 29th. Essentially, we were or as we get to this time of year, oftentimes they're reporting results.
Just one of the many production forecasts for crops like corn, soybeans, such as
our objective yield survey. Rather than surveying farmers, is where we actually send trained integrators into fields, lay out counts, measurements. Ultimately, we'll harvest portions of those spots, which is pretty cool. The harvest part.
The adjustments from the September crop production report trended downward. For this month, corn production are down less than 1%. Soybean production was down 1% from the prior month. Production forecast was 2% in October. Voting says behind the lower production forecast. For corn,
yield are now forecasting 173 bushels per acre. That's down just 0.5% or 0.8 of a bushel last month. So we're now actually looking at a yield that's 0.2% or 0.4 of a bushel below last year's final yield.
While for beans,
current yield
projections.
We're now forecasting yield of 767 pounds per acre. That is down from that.
The commodity markets initially responded to the adjustments of the bushels an acre.
News time is 28 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Thursday. Again, coverage of news is brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and we stream to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Coming up in sports on this Thursday, usually you see a set of siblings or two on maybe any given high school football team, but the Clinton Maroons are taking that family atmosphere to a new level this year. We've got an interesting report out of Clinton, the Clinton football program here on this Thursday morning. Stay with us for sports. That comes up following a look at network news and a look at network sports on this Thursday. Get the latest in local news anytime from your computer or mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com. And a reminder, we stream live online all the time at DeWittDailyNews.com. Network news comes your way next on WHOW.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Tumpel. Israeli aircraft continue hammering away at suspected terrorist targets in Gaza. the same time, Israel has agreed to allow humanitarian aid to flow to civilians in Gaza, provided it does not ultimately wind up with Hamas. Israel and Ukraine are on the agenda for President Biden when he delivers an Oval Office speech this evening. The U.S. military isn't discussing it, but Syrian opposition activists report there have been drone attacks on American troops stationed in that country. Perhaps the third time will be the charm when the House votes later today on Republican Congressman Jim Jordan for Speaker of the House. There was a second vote yesterday. Jordan failed to win the Speaker's gavel yet again. Watching Wall Street, Dow futures down 20 points. NASDAQ futures trading 20 points higher. More details at srnnews.com.
5.
With SRN Sports, I'm Michael Harrington. We'll start with baseball playoff action last night, and the Astros who climbed back into their ALCS with the Rangers.
The Astros pounded Max Scherzer and pulled within 2-1 in the ALCS by outscoring the Rangers 8-5. Scherzer opened the scoring by uncorking a wild pitch in the second, and Martin Maldonado added a 2-run single later in the inning. Jose Altuve added a solo blast in the third off Scherzer, who was reached for 5 runs over 4 innings in his first start of the postseason. Yordan Alvarez had 2 RBIs, Mauricio Dubon had 3 hits, and Christian Javier held Texas to 2 runs and 3 hits over 5 2/3. I'm Dave Ferry.
NBA news, the Sixers say they have no explanation for why James Harden skipped practice Wednesday, but plan to proceed as if the disgruntled guard will play in the preseason finale. Harden said last week he might play, but then again he might not. This is SRN Sports. Moving on to NHL action, 2 games last night. Josh Harris scored a pair of goals in his season debut, leading the Ottawa Senators to a 6-1 win over the Capitals. Vladimir Tarasenko, Artem Zub, Claude Giroux, and Jake Sanderson also scored for the Senators, who picked up their 3rd straight win. Anton Forsberg made 23 saves. The Detroit Red Wings beat the Pittsburgh Penguins 6-3 on Wednesday night, rounding out the NHL action. NFL news, Colts rookie quarterback Anthony Richardson will have season-ending shoulder surgery. Coach Shane Steichen says the long-term health of the former Florida Gators star was the key factor in making that decision. The 4th overall pick in April's NFL draft, Richardson suffered a sprained AC joint in his right shoulder at the end of a short run against Tennessee earlier this month. With Richardson out, veteran Gardner Minshew will continue to start. And the Jets are trading seldom-used wide receiver Mecole Hardman back to the Chiefs. This is SRN Sports.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. The Clinton Maroons football team is playoff eligible for the first time since 2019, and perhaps a good deal of the success can be attributed to the family within the program. No, it's not a cheesy, oft-overused cliche being thrown around by the coaches, but instead it's an actual underlying theme of the overall roster of players this year. 8 sets of siblings comprise this year's Maroons total roster of 53. Coach Ron Bass, who's been around small-town football most of his coaching career, says it's unlike anything he's ever seen.
Not this many. No, the most I've had at one time is maybe two sets that might be planned, or 3 sets, but maybe you don't get all 3 sets on the field at the time. I mean, there's times where you'll have 3 sets of siblings on the field here at one time. So it's just something I've never had before. Yeah, it is quite an anomaly. And then having that many in practice alone too, quite interesting.
Interestingly enough, all 4 captains this year have younger siblings on the varsity roster. Senior quarterback Mason Walker and younger brother junior Colton Walker work together on and off the football field.
See, we hang out a lot, actually, throw some routes at home too. I mean, we mow lawns together also. In the summer, yep. It's fun. We get along usually fight or anything. We just hang out at the house. Sometimes we play Madden, play the PS4 together every once in a while. Just hang out, watch movies or whatever.
Sophomore Keaton Graves says he and big brother, senior Dawson Graves, would get a little rough at home playing sports, but the two say it made them better. And now the older Dawson tries to keep little brother in line and doing the right thing.
Yeah, we used to battle quite a bit and pick up basketball, but we're pretty chill now.
Yeah, we were always really competitive and kind of beating each other up, but I think it made us better for sports.
Sure.
Just always, kept him under my wing and, made sure he was where he is supposed to be, you know, always giving him rides and yeah, that sort of thing.
It's like I watch what he does and try to, you know, follow his example. But he's respectful and works hard.
Tristan Potts has been showing little brother Zach how it's done on and off the field. The elder Potts has been making sure younger brother knows it takes dedication when you're not on the field to stand out when you're on the field.
Well, I try to be as good of a role model as possible, pushing him in the weight room, trying to show him things about football that maybe I learned from older kids, because I don't have an older brother, so maybe trying to teach him some stuff that he doesn't know already. So, I mean, we never really got to play together growing up, but this last year, my senior year, he's got some varsity reps. So it's just cool to see him grow up, and hopefully he can follow my footsteps. We can continue to grow this program. I'd say try to stand out in practice and try to get as many reps on scout team as you can. And as you stand out to coach, they're going to give you reps at the varsity level.
Yeah, I always tried to like push myself in practice, especially on scout team, because that's one of the most important parts for like a younger player to get varsity reps.
Noah Bass and little brother Josh Bass say they get along just fine, both on and off the field.
Sometimes we have little arguments, but for the most part, we're pretty good. Yeah, he's always been the bigger brother to beat me up if I ever try to get in a fight with him. I feel like we get along pretty well. I don't really see him on the line if I ever I don't really go up against him very much. We like to play Madden and 2K and other games. We'll go out to eat with groups and stuff like that. So
Bryant Gundy, a junior this year, and little brother Blake, a sophomore, say they are probably the most likely to get in trouble for fighting with each other during practice. They say it's all fun. It's still fun to play alongside each other at the varsity level this year.
It's pretty cool. We can share the connection along the field. We can share memories that we haven't had before. It's always been nice because I always get to watch him and I get to learn off of him. And anything that I mess up on, I can ask him. He always helps me with it. I've noticed that he's always been really physical, and I've always liked that. So I've always been trying to get more physical like him and tried my hardest like him. We're always fighting at home, bickering at each other, but it's all in fun and games because we've always been doing it. Yeah, I mean, it's just our way to show love to each other. Oh, yeah, it's definitely who can put each other on the back first.
Senior offensive lineman Denzel Wheeler has been a good example for little brother Micah, who is a freshman getting reps with the varsity this year. The elder Wheeler says while they still have their quarrels, they find ways to keep from getting in trouble.
It's pretty fun, like showing him things that he doesn't know and teaching him how to get better. Like kind of how he's explained, I kind of like how he's helping me out on all the plays and everything I need to know. When we're practicing, I try to go against him and just hit him as hard. That's pretty much what happens. Usually mom gets mad at us, but when we wrestle, so we usually play Madden. I'm usually the winner. Same thing. We play Madden and wrestle a little bit.
Coach Bass gives this group a lot of praise, saying it's been an enjoyable group to coach, and notes while you might think with 10 to 16 siblings on the field at a given time, they rarely have any issues.
No, as an overall group, they do get along. They're a good group of kids, and maybe it's a little too nice at times. But no, occasionally we get a little arguing, we get a little frustrated with our siblings, but pretty few and far between.
Having been around the small school football scene for many years, Coach Bass says it's the families of the school and the close-knit nature of the community that makes it something special.
That's why I love small town football. I mean, because it's a big deal. It's the whole town comes out and supports you, and it's just, to me, it's just a fun atmosphere when it's a small town football. When families have been living here for a few generations, yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I went to high school with that kid's dad or that kid's grandfather. So yeah, it's kind of cool.
The Maroons wrap up the regular season Friday night in Pontiac with its eyes set on its first playoff appearance since 2019. Hear Friday's action on WHOW and its many digital platforms. Then tune in on Saturday night for our playoff show and hear from Coach Bass later on in the 8 o'clock hour. Get sports anytime from your computer or mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast. High temperatures reach up to 63. Today, under cloudy skies with a chance for scattered rain showers. West winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Slight chance for scattered rain showers again. Tonight, lows dip down to about 48. Cloudy skies. High of 63. Tomorrow, a blend of clouds and sun. Hear weather twice an hour or online anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. Currently, it's 54.
From the Country Financial Studio.